Today we are going to tell you about the mysterious disappearance of a young Indian girl who went to America in search of a better life, but instead got caught in a web of lies, betrayal, and crime. This is a story about how the American dream can turn into the worst nightmare, and how sometimes the closest people can be the most dangerous enemies. On March 5th, 2023, Anita Sharma, a 23-year-old girl from the small town of Udaipur in Rajasthan, spoke to her mother for the last time. At 10 a.m. New York time, she called home via WhatsApp, a call that lasted just 7 minutes. Anita's mother, Kamla Sharma, would later tell police that her daughter sounded anxious, but assured them that everything was fine. "Mom, I'm just tired from the flight and the jet lag," Anita said. These were the last words Kamla heard from her daughter. Anita had arrived in New York just 5 days ago. She got a job as a nanny for the Kapoor family, wealthy Indians who emigrated to the United States 15 years ago. Sanjana Kapoor, a 35-year-old successful interior designer, was looking for a nanny for her 3-year-old daughter Arati through an Indian employment agency. She wanted someone who spoke Hindi and understood Indian culture. Anita seemed like the perfect candidate, young, educated, with experience working with children in a kindergarten in Udaipur. The Sharma family belonged to the middle class. Anita's father, Devendra, worked as an accountant for a small textile company. Her mother was a housewife. Anita had a younger brother, Vikas, who was in college. When the opportunity arose to go to America, the whole family was excited. A salary of 100,000 rupees a month was a lot of money for them. Anita planned to help her family and save money for her own education. She dreamed of becoming an English teacher. Sanjana Kapoor personally interviewed Anita via video call. She liked the modest but intelligent girl with good English and a pleasant smile. Sanjana offered to pay for the flight and arrange a work visa. The conditions were excellent: a separate room in a luxury building in Queens, weekends off, and health insurance. For a girl from a small Indian town, it was a fairy tale. On February 28th, Anita flew from Delhi to New York. Sanjana met her at the airport with little Arati. The first few days went well. Anita sent photos to her family. Here she is with her child in Central Park. Here she is cooking Indian food in a spacious American kitchen. Here is her cozy room overlooking a green courtyard. Her mother noticed that in all the photos, Anita was smiling, but her eyes looked sad. "I just miss home," her daughter replied to her concern. On March 4th, Anita wrote a strange message to her brother Vikas. "If anything happens to me, know that I love you all." Vikas immediately called back, but his sister said she was just in a bad mood. The next day was the last call from her mother. When Anita didn't show up for work on March 6th, Sanjana didn't think much of it at first. Perhaps she was not feeling well or simply overslept. But when Anita didn't answer her calls or texts and her room was empty, Sanjana began to worry. Anita's things were there, but the girl herself was not. Her passport was in the drawer, her money and credit card were in her wallet on the nightstand. Only she and her cell phone were missing. Sanjana waited until the evening, hoping that Anita would return. When she did not, she called her husband Arjun, who was on a business trip to Chicago. Arjun advised her to contact the police immediately. At 10 in the evening on March 6th, Sanjana Kapoor filed a missing persons report for Anita Sharma. Detective Michael O'Brien of the Missing Persons Unit arrived at the Kapoor home the next morning. He was immediately surprised by several things. First, why did Sanjana wait almost a day before contacting the police? Secondly, for some reason, the surveillance cameras near the house did not work on the night of March 5th to 6th. Thirdly, neighbors said they heard loud voices coming from the Kapoor house on the evening of the 5th, although Sanjana claimed to be home alone with the child. Anita's family in India learned about their daughter's disappearance only on March 7th, when Sanjana finally called them. Kamla Sharma could not believe what she was hearing. Her daughter, her little Anita, had disappeared in a foreign country, thousands of kilometers away from home. Devendra's father immediately began looking for a way to fly to America. but a visa could be obtained no sooner than 2 weeks later. In the meantime, Detective O'Brien began an investigation. The first 48 hours after a person goes missing are the most important. But in this case, they had already been lost. What happened to Anita Sharma? Did she leave on her own, or did someone make her disappear? And why was Sanjana Kapoor behaving so strangely? This story is just beginning, and every day of the investigation will reveal new shocking details about what really happened in the luxury home in Queens. Anita Sharma's American dream has turned into a nightmare from which there may be no way out. Detective Michael O'Brien had 30 years of experience in the NYPD, but the case of Anita Sharma seemed unusual to him from the very first days. The more he learned about the Kapoor family, the more questions he had. This successful Indian family living the American dream turned out to be full of secrets and contradictions. Sanjana Kapoor was a well-known interior designer in the Indian diaspora in New York. Her company, East Meets West Designs, decorated the homes of wealthy Indians, combining traditional motifs with modern American style. At first glance, she was the epitome of success, a beautiful, intelligent, independent woman who built her own business. But behind the facade of success were problems. Arjun Kapoor, Sanjana's 40-year-old husband, was a textile importing company from India. His company, Kapoor Textiles International, had once thrived, but for the past 2 years, things had been going badly. Competition with China, problems with suppliers, debts, all of this put pressure on Arjun. Neighbors told the detective that they often heard quarrels coming from the Kapoor home. They were yelling so loud you could hear it through the wall, said Mrs. Rodriguez, who had lived in the neighborhood for 10 years. On March 9th, Detective O'Brien returned to the Kapoor home with a search warrant. Sanjana reluctantly let the police in. She looked exhausted, with dark circles under her eyes. Little Arati was crying, clinging to her mother. "She keeps asking about Anita Didi," Sanjana explained, wiping away her tears. In Indian families, a nanny is often called a Didi, an older sister. The search of Anita's room did not yield much information. The girl had brought few things, a few traditional Indian salwar kameez costumes, jeans, t-shirts, and family photos. On the nightstand was a book by Chetan Bhagat in English with a bookmark in the middle. A diary was found in a drawer, but the last entry was made in India. The only thing that seemed strange was a torn photograph in the wastebasket, which showed Anita and a man, but the man's face was torn off. The detective decided to talk to Arjun Kapoor, who had returned from Chicago. Arjun was a tall, imposing man with premature gray hair. He carried himself confidently, but O'Brien noticed his hands trembling as he lit a cigarette. "I hardly knew Anita," Arjun said. "Sanjana was the one who hired her. I was against the idea of getting a nanny from India, too much paperwork, but my wife insisted." When the detective asked about the family's financial situation, Arjun tensed. "We are doing well. The business is going through hard times, but it's temporary." However, a check showed that the Kapoors owed the bank $300,000 on their mortgage, and Arjun's company was on the verge of bankruptcy. Could Anita have found out about the family's financial problems? And if so, what did it matter? On March 11th, the police received surveillance footage from neighboring houses. One of the videos showed a young woman in dark clothes coming out of the Kapoor's house at 2 in the morning on March 6th. She looked around as if afraid of someone, then quickly walked down the street. Sanjana recognized Anita by her gait. But why did she leave? And why in the middle of the night? She asked, her voice filled with fear. Detective O'Brien decided to widen the circle of interviewees. He talked to other Indian nannies in the neighborhood. It turned out that Anita had met several girls at a local Indian temple. Priyanka Reddy, a nanny from the neighborhood, revealed an interesting detail. "Anita asked me what to do if her employers were abusive. I told her to go to an agency, but she said it was more complicated than it sounds." Meanwhile, Anita's family in India was going crazy with powerlessness. Devendra Sharma finally got his visa and was preparing to fly to New York. Kamla called the police every day through the embassy, begging them to find her daughter. Vikas created a Facebook page called Find Anita Sharma and posted her photos there. The post was shared by thousands of Indians around the world. On March 15th, a breakthrough occurred. Technical experts were able to recover the video from the Kapoor's cameras on the night of the disappearance. It turned out that the cameras had not been hacked. Someone had deliberately turned them off at 1 a.m. The last frames before they were turned off showed a shadow in the corridor. The enhanced image showed that it was a man in dark clothes. Arjun Kapoor? When the detective showed the video to Arjun, he turned pale. "That's not me," he whispered. "I was in Chicago. I have an alibi." A check confirmed that Arjun was indeed at a hotel in Chicago that night. Then who was the man in the house? And why didn't Sanjana hear anything? Sanjana watched the video too. Her reaction was unexpected. She started crying. "Oh my God, what have I done?" she kept saying. Detective O'Brien felt he was getting closer to the solution. "Mrs. Kapoor, what do you mean?" But Sanjana just shook her head, refusing to talk without her lawyer. The investigation was reaching a dead end. Anita disappeared without a trace. Her phone was turned off, her bank card was not used. No one had seen her after that night. But Detective O'Brien was sure that the Kapoor family was hiding something. The mystery of Anita Sharma's disappearance was connected to the secrets of this seemingly prosperous family. All that remained was to find out what skeletons were hiding in their closet and how they were connected to a young girl from Udaipur who had come to America in search of a better life. On March 17th, there was an unexpected breakthrough in the Anita Sharma case. Technical experts were finally able to crack the password on the girl's phone, which the police found in a park near the Kapoor home. What Detective O'Brien saw on the phone completely changed the direction of the investigation. It turned out that the modest nanny from Udaipur was leading a double life, which neither her employers nor her family in India suspected. The first thing that caught the detective's attention was a correspondence in the WhatsApp application with a contact signed simply R. The messages were written in a mixture of English and Hindi, typical of young Indians. "John, I can't wait any longer. When will we finally be together?" R wrote 2 days before Anita disappeared. "Soon, my love. Just be patient a little longer," she replied. Looking through the photos on the phone, O'Brien found dozens of selfies of Anita with a young Indian man. In some of them, they were hugging. In others, they were kissing. The boy's face matched the torn photo from Anita's room. The detective showed the photo to Sanjana Kapoor. "I don't know who this is," she said, looking at the picture carefully. Anita never talked about a boyfriend. She said she didn't have anyone in America. The geolocation analysis showed that most of the photos were taken in different places in New York City: Times Square, the Brooklyn Bridge, and the Indian Quarter in Jackson Heights. The dates indicated that Anita met this man on her weekends, but how did she meet him? The answer was found in the history of the Uber app. On February 29th, the day after she arrived in America, Anita ordered a ride from JFK Airport. The driver's name was Rahul Patel. The ride lasted an hour due to traffic, and it was obvious that during this time, the young people developed a liking for each other. The next day, Rahul wrote to Anita on WhatsApp, "I hope you are well settled. If you need any help in the city, don't hesitate to ask." Detective O'Brien found Rahul Patel through the Uber database. The 27-year-old from Gujarat came to America 3 years ago on a student visa. After graduating with a master's degree in computer science, he was unable to find a job in his field of study and started driving to make ends meet. His visa would expire in 2 months. "Yes, I was in love with Anita," Rahul admitted during interrogation. He looked broken, with dark circles under his eyes from sleepless nights. "We were planning to get married. I wanted to help her get a green card, and she would help me stay in the country. But it was not just about the documents. We really loved each other. Rahul said that he last saw Anita on March 4th. They met at a cafe in Jackson Heights. She was scared. She said she had learned about something terrible in the Kapoor family, but she couldn't give me the details. I begged her to leave, but she said she had to wait a little longer. When asked about his whereabouts on the night of the disappearance, Rahul said he was working. Uber's history showed records of his rides until 4 in the morning. But the biggest shocker was Anita's bank statement, which the police obtained. During her 5 days in America, she received $15,000 in 3 transfers of $5,000 each. The money was transferred from an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. Who was transferring such large sums to a simple nanny, and why? Detective O'Brien summoned Arjun Kapoor for a second interrogation. When he was shown the bank statements, the businessman initially denied any connection with the money. But when the detective pressed harder, Arjun broke down. "Okay, I did transfer money to her, but it's not what you think," he exclaimed. According to Arjun, Anita had accidentally seen documents about his debts and problems with the tax authorities. She threatened to tell Sanjana if he didn't pay her. It was pure blackmail. This quiet girl turned out to be a real snake, Arjun said bitterly. But was it the whole truth? On March 20th, the police made another discovery. In a hiding place in Anita's room, behind a false panel in the closet, they found an Indian passport in the name of Priya Mehta with Anita's photo on it. The passport was a high-quality fake. It also contained $5,000 in cash and a bus ticket to Canada for March 7th, the day after she disappeared. Rahul Patel was shocked when he was shown the fake passport. "I didn't know anything about this. We were planning to get married legally, honestly." But Detective O'Brien was no longer sure who to believe in this confusing story. Was Anita planning to escape? Was she using Rahul? And most importantly, did she manage to escape, or did someone prevent her from doing so? Technical analysis showed that the last location of Anita's phone was recorded at 3 in the morning on March 6th near the Queensboro Bridge. Then the signal disappeared. Did she throw the phone away to avoid being traced, or did someone else get rid of the evidence? Anita's father, Devendra Sharma, flew to New York on March 19th. When he was told about his daughter's secret life, he refused to believe it. "My Anita is not like that. She is an honest girl from a good family. Someone forced her to do this." But the facts were different. Anita Sharma was playing a double game, and it may have cost her her life. Detective O'Brien realized that the digital traces had revealed only part of the truth. Now he needed to find out what role the Kapoors played in all of this, what Rahul Patel really knew, and where Anita had gone that fateful night. The web of lies was getting denser and denser, and the chances of finding the girl alive were getting smaller. On March 22nd, Detective Michael O'Brien received a call that turned the entire investigation upside down. The anonymous informant, who introduced himself as an accountant, said that Arjun Kapoor's company was laundering money for Indian businessmen through fictitious textile supply contracts. "Check the accounts for the last 6 months. There are companies there that don't exist," said the man with a distinct Indian accent, and hung up. The financial investigation confirmed the informant's words. Kapoor Textiles International was transferring millions of dollars through a network of shell companies. The money went from India to the United States under the guise of payment for goods that never existed. Arjun Kapoor laundered the black cash of Indian businessmen, taking a 20% commission. But how did a simple nanny from Udaipur find out about this? The answer was found in Arjun's laptop. Analysis showed that someone had copied files from the confidential folder on March 3rd at 2 in the afternoon. At that time, Arjun was in a meeting, Sanjana was in her office, and only Anita and little Arati were at home. Internal surveillance cameras recorded Anita entering Arjun's office with the baby in her arms. Officially, she was looking for children's coloring books that Arjun had promised to print. "She copied everything to a flash drive," Arjun said in despair during the interrogation. "Contracts, bank statements, correspondence with clients. It would have been enough to put me away for 10 years. The next day, she said she knew about my business and wanted money for silence. First 5,000, then another 5, then another. Detective O'Brien called Sanjana Kapoor. The woman came without a lawyer, which surprised the detective. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. "I'm ready to tell you everything," she said in a quiet voice. "I can't live with this burden anymore." Sanjana admitted that she learned about the blackmail on March 4th. She overheard her husband's phone conversation with Anita. Arjun was begging her to wait, promising to pay more. "I couldn't believe it. This girl I brought to our house, to whom I entrusted my child, was blackmailing us." Sanjana confronted her husband that evening. Their argument was so loud that neighbors called the police, but the Kapoors assured the officers that everything was fine. "I wanted to immediately release Anita and deport her back to India," Sanjana continued. "But Arjun said it was not safe. She could have handed over documents to the authorities in India. He asked me to give him time to organize everything." Sanjana began to cry. "I hated her. I hated her for destroying our family." On March 24th, the police interrogated Rahul Patel again. Under pressure, he confessed to what he had been hiding before. "Yes, I knew about the money. Anita said she had received an inheritance from a relative. I didn't believe her, but I didn't ask. We planned to use the money to start a new life in Canada. It's easier to get documents there." Rahul said that he and Anita planned to escape on March 6th. "She was supposed to leave the house at 2 in the morning. I was waiting for her in my car 2 blocks away. I waited until 5 in the morning, called her hundreds of times, but she didn't come and didn't answer." The guy started to cry. "I thought she had changed her mind. She decided to stay for the money. But now I realize something happened." The same day, the results of the analysis of the video from the cameras in the neighboring house came back. Technical experts were able to improve the image quality. The video clearly showed Anita coming out of the Kapoor's house at 2:15 in the morning with a backpack. But at 2:20, another person came out of the house. Sanjana Kapoor, in a dark tracksuit. She went in the same direction as Anita. When Sanjana was shown the video, she was silent at first. Then she said, "I wanted to talk to her. To convince her not to do this. To tell her that we would give her money, but let her return the documents and get out of our lives." When asked if she had caught up with Anita, Sanjana replied, "I don't know. It was dark. I saw someone ahead of me, but I wasn't sure it was her." On March 26th, what everyone feared happened. Police divers, who were inspecting the banks of the East River, found a woman's bag with documents in the name of Anita Sharma. Inside the bag was a bloody scarf that Kamla Sharma recognized as a gift to her daughter before she left. The blood test would take several days, but everyone realized that there was almost no chance of finding Anita alive. Arjun Kapoor hired the best lawyer in New York. He was ready to confess to financial crimes, but categorically denied any involvement in Anita's disappearance. "Yes, she blackmailed me. Yes, I paid her. But I would never have harmed her. I am not a murderer," he repeated. Sanjana also insisted on her innocence. "I went out to get her, it's true, but I came back home 20 minutes later. I couldn't find her and thought she had already left. In the morning, when I saw that her things were still there, I realized that something had gone wrong." Detective O'Brien was faced with a difficult puzzle. All the pieces of the puzzle seemed to be in place. Blackmail, money, a secret lover, an escape plan, a jealous employer. But what happened that night between 2:30, when Anita left the house, and 3 in the morning, when her phone last signaled near the bridge? Those 45 minutes now held the key. Anita Sharma's double life as a humble nanny and a cold-blooded blackmailer led her to a tragic end. But who was the executor of the sentence? The jealous Sanjana? A cornered Arjun? Or perhaps someone else who the investigation does not yet know about? Only the results of the blood test and further investigation of that fateful night could provide answers to these questions. On March 28th, The results of the DNA analysis of the blood from Anita's scarf came back. Detective O'Brien could not believe his eyes when he read the crime lab report. The blood did not belong to Anita Sharma, but to Arjun Kapoor. This discovery completely changed the picture of what happened that night. Why was Arjun's blood on Anita's scarf if he was supposedly in Chicago? The confrontation with Arjun took place in the presence of his lawyer. When the detective showed the results of the analysis, the businessman turned pale. His lawyer tried to deny the authenticity of the test, but Arjun suddenly said, "That's enough. I'm going to tell the truth." What he said over the next 2 hours shocked even experienced Detective O'Brien. "I was not in Chicago that night," Arjun began. "I created a false alibi by booking a hotel room and asking my partner to confirm my presence at the meeting. In fact, I returned to New York on the evening of March 5th. I needed to talk to Anita." Arjun confessed something that no one expected. He was having an affair with Anita. It all started with an innocent flirtation when Sanjana was away on a business trip. She was so young, beautiful, full of life. I lost my head. We started dating when Sanjana was leaving for work. Anita threatened to tell her husband not only about the financial fraud, but also about our relationship. Anita's blackmail was much more sophisticated than it seemed at first. She recorded their intimate meetings on her phone and took photos. She said she would show everything to Sanjana and post it on the internet if I didn't pay. My reputation, business, family, everything would be ruined. Arjun buried his face in his hands. That night, Arjun waited for Anita to leave the house. He intercepted her a block away. I begged her to forget everything. I offered her $100,000 if she would just leave and never come back. But she laughed in my face. She said I was an old fool, that she loved Rahul and was going to Canada with him, and I would be left with shame and ruin. A fight broke out between them. Arjun tried to take Anita's phone, but she resisted. I didn't mean to hurt her, I swear, but she hit me. I lost my balance, fell and smashed my head on the curb. There was blood everywhere. Anita got scared, wiped my wound with her scarf and ran away. This is the last thing I remember. I came to it home. Detective O'Brien did not believe this was the whole truth. "How did you get home, Mr. Kapoor? And where is Anita?" Arjun swore he didn't know. He assumed that he had walked home alone, but he couldn't remember anything because of the concussion. A medical examination confirmed an old scar on the back of his head that could have been sustained a week ago. On March 30th, the detective questioned Sanjana again. This time, he put the photos of the man and Anita found in the girl's phone in front of her. Sanjana's reaction was lightning fast. She screamed and threw the photos on the floor. I knew, she sobbed. It turned out that Sanjana had found out about her husband's affair on March 3rd. She installed a tracking program on Arjun's phone after she suspected him of cheating. I saw their messages, heard their conversations. That little whore seduced my husband. She has destroyed my family. Sanjana told her version of the events of that night. She knew Arjun had returned from Chicago in secret. She had been tracking him with her GPS. She saw him waiting for Anita. I followed him. I saw them fighting. I saw him fall. Anita ran away, and I approached the man. He was half-conscious, covered in blood. I helped him get home through the back door so that no one would see. But what happened to Anita after she ran away from Arjun? Sanjana swore she didn't know. I returned home with my husband. I treated his wound and put him to bed. He didn't remember anything in the morning, and I didn't tell him the truth. Let him think it was a dream. On April 1st, the tragic news came. Fishermen found the body of a young woman in the Hudson River, 5 miles from the Queensboro Bridge. The body had been in the water for about 3 weeks. Kamla and Devendra Sharma came to the identification. The scene was heartbreaking. The mother fell to her knees when she saw the gold bracelet on the dead girl's wrist. "This is my Anita, my child," she sobbed. The preliminary medical examiner's report indicated that the death was caused by drowning, but the body showed signs of a struggle. Detective O'Brien knew that someone had thrown Anita into the river that night. But who? On April 2nd, police arrested Sanjana Kapoor on suspicion of murder. During the search, they found traces of blood in her car that belonged to Anita. Sanjana denied everything at first, but when she was shown the evidence, she broke down. "I caught up with her near the bridge," Sanjana said, barely audible. "She was walking to the meeting point with her Rahul. I just wanted to talk to her, I swear. But when I saw her smug face, something in me broke. She had ruined my life and was going to run away as if nothing had happened." According to Sanjana, she pushed Anita, who fell and hit her head on a metal fence. She was unconscious, but alive. I could have called an ambulance, but instead, God, what I did. I dragged her to the water. She came to at the last moment, tried to fight, but it was too late. Sanjana Kapoor was charged with second-degree murder. Arjun Kapoor was charged with financial crimes and obstruction of justice. Rahul Patel was released from custody, but his heart was broken. The Sharma family took Anita's body home to India for cremation. The tragedy of a young girl who came to America with the hope of a better life became a warning to thousands of others. Betrayal, greed, and revenge intertwined in a deadly dance, taking the life of 23-year-old Anita Sharma. But was she an innocent victim, or did she bring the trouble on herself with her actions? This question will remain unanswered forever. On April 5th, 3 days before Sanjana Kapoor's trial began, Detective Michael O'Brien received a call from the crime lab. What he was told forced him to urgently assemble the entire investigation team. The final results of the DNA examination showed the incredible: the body found in the Hudson River did not belong to Anita Sharma. "It's impossible," whispered prosecutor Sarah Wilson. The mother recognized the bracelet, the clothes match. But science was relentless. The victim's DNA did not match the samples taken from Anita's belongings. Moreover, a dental examination showed that the victim's age was about 30 years old, not 23. A second identification was immediately carried out. It turned out that the victim was Ritu Desai, a 30-year-old illegal immigrant from Bangladesh who had disappeared in New York 3 weeks earlier. The gold bracelet, which Anita's mother recognized, was a typical piece of jewelry worn by millions of women in the Indian subcontinent. This news turned the whole investigation upside down. If Sanjana didn't push Anita into the water, then who did? And most importantly, where is the real Anita Sharma? On April 7th, Detective O'Brien received an anonymous letter sent from Montreal. The envelope contained a flash drive with a video recording. In the video, Anita Sharma, alive and well, sat in a hotel room. "I know you're looking for me," she said, looking directly into the camera. "I want you to know the truth." Over the next 20 minutes, Anita told a story that made the hairs on the back of an experienced detective's neck stand up. It was all planned from the beginning. Anita was never an ordinary girl from Udaipur. She graduated from the Faculty of Criminology in Delhi and worked as a private detective investigating financial crimes. "Indian businessmen hired me to expose Arjun Kapoor's scheme," Anita explained in the video. "I was supposed to collect evidence and hand it over to the authorities, but when I realized how much money was flowing through his accounts, I had a different plan." Anita deliberately seduced Arjun to gain power over him. Blackmail was part of the plan from the beginning. "I knew that sooner or later they would try to stop me, so I prepared everything for my escape: a fake passport, money, a plan to disappear." The story of Rahul Patel was also partly a game. "Rahul is a sincere guy. He really loved me. I'm sorry I used him, but I needed someone to confirm my story for the police. He didn't know anything about my real plans." On that fateful night, everything went almost according to Anita's plan. The quarrel with Arjun, his fall, Sanjana's appearance. She had foreseen it all. "I knew that Sanjana was following her husband. I expected her to follow me. When she caught up with me near the bridge, I was ready. Anita staged a fight with Sanjana, allowed her to push her, fell down, and pretended to faint. The hardest part was not breathing when she was dragging me to the water, but I knew she wouldn't check my pulse. She was too panicked. When Sanjana pushed her into the water, Anita dove in and swam under the bridge, where a wetsuit and bag of belongings were waiting for her. Ritu Desai died by accident, Anita continued. I saw her jump off a bridge that same night. She committed suicide because of debt and despair. Her body was carried by the current to where I was supposed to be found, a coincidence that helped my plan. Anita revealed that a week before her disappearance, she had transferred all of the Kapoor's money, about $2 million, to accounts in different countries. I not only took the money that Arjun had obtained illegally, I emptied all their accounts using the access I gained through his computer. On April 9th, Canadian police raided a hotel in Montreal, but Anita was already gone. She left a note. Do not look for me. The Kapoor's money will go to charity, building schools for girls in India. Consider it justice. Sanjana Kapoor was released from custody. She was guilty of attempted murder, but since the victim was alive, she faced only 5 years of probation. Arjun Kapoor was sentenced to 7 years in prison for financial fraud. Their family was destroyed, their business went bankrupt, and their house was sold for debt. Rahul Patel returned to India after his visa expired. He still believed that Anita loved him. Maybe some of her feelings were genuine, he told reporters at the airport. The Sharma family was shocked by the truth about their daughter. Kamla refused to believe that her Anita could do such a thing. Devendra was silent, but his eyes showed a mixture of pride and shame. They received an anonymous transfer for $100,000 with the note, "Sorry." Detective Michael O'Brien resigned after the case. In 30 years of work, I have never seen such a sophisticated crime, he said at his farewell conference. Anita Sharma outsmarted everyone, the police, the FBI, the victims. She used our justice system as an instrument of revenge. On April 15th, Indian newspapers reported the news of the opening of a free school for girls in Rajasthan. The sponsor had donated $2 million, but wished to remain anonymous. The school principal received only a short note. Education is the best way to freedom. From A.S. The case of Anita Sharma has become a legend in criminal circles. A young woman who came to America as a nanny turned out to be a brilliant fraudster and manipulator. She exploited the greed, lust, and crime of others for her own gain, leaving behind ruined lives. Was Anita a heroine who punished criminals or a criminal who destroyed a family? Does the end justify the means? These questions will remain unanswered. Anita Sharma disappeared as mysteriously as she appeared. Interpol is still looking for her around the world, but there are no traces. The American dream has turned into an American nightmare for everyone involved in this drama. But for Anita Sharma, it was just a well-planned performance in which she played all the roles: victim, perpetrator, and judge. The curtain fell, the audience dispersed, and the main actress disappeared with millions of dollars and a smile on her face. The show is over, but is it really over?